Here we are, episode 2 out of the 4-part series of FPL draft rankings by EWG. First episode we talked about defenders. Now let's move on to the more exciting midfielders. And at number 1, where else? Mo Salah. Number 2, Saka. 3, Rashford. 4, KDB. 5, Bruno Fernandes. I feel like most people have these as your top 5. The question is, in what order do you have them? Now Salah, I think everybody's got as their number 1. Who can really go against that with what he's done in football and FPL, especially over the last few years? What a player he is, and Liverpool should be back at it next season. Now, Bukayo Saka, I've got in at number 2. I'm really, really big on him. I think he can honestly get 25 goals, maybe 15 assists alongside it. I'm putting my neck out there saying that. But he takes the penalties for Arsenal, and I just think Arsenal will improve this season, and he had an absolutely fantastic season last year. But I think now he's got to the age of the maturity and he can learn from last season that this can be the year that he really puts himself up there alongside Mo Salah in an FPL sense. Marcus Rashford in at number 3. I feel like him and Bruno could be interchangeable, but I think Rashford gets more goals, Bruno gets more assists, which is the only reason why I've got it round this way. And KDB, probably the best midfielder from a footballing standpoint in the league. Fantasy standpoint, he doesn't get all the starts that you'd expect because of the Pep Roulette and he gets rested. But, I mean, you can't argue having KDB in your team. You've always got a chance of getting an assist, getting a goal. He's just an absolute machine. Right, 6 to 10, we're going to go Odegaard, Martinelli, Son, Diaz, Grealish. Odegaard, Martinelli, the Arsenal duo. I mean, the only difference is they don't take the penalties, realistically, for Odegaard. And Martinelli, I feel like he's going to have some time on the bench as Trossard is now in and has been playing phenomenally in pre-season. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Martinelli will be starting most of the games, but he won't be starting all of them, which is why he's had to come down the rankings a little bit compared to what other people probably have him. Son, I think Spurs back attacking under Postecoglou. Kane may be on the way out as well. Son needs to pick up those goals, and I think he will. He's come out in a press conference saying last season was not good enough from him, and he knows that, and he's really been working on it. He ended the last season actually all right, so we'll see next year. But I'm still high on him. I mean, he got the Golden Boot 2 years ago. You can't turn that away. Luis Diaz, I think, will be the man to nail down that left wing spot for Liverpool. I mean, when we've seen him, he's been absolutely electric and unbelievable for them. So if he can stay fit, that's probably the only question mark. I think he'll have that left wing spot for them. And then Jack Grealish, what a season he had last year. I think Pep's starting to trust him a lot more. I mean, he's got rid of now Mahrez. He may be getting rid of Bernardo Silva. Grealish, I would expect to be starting on that left wing every single week. I mean, Pep Roulette, we'll see. But as much as possible, he'll be starting on that left wing. And he's got that relationship with Haaland now. I think he'll be getting more and more goals coming forward. So I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks into the top 10. Now 11 to 15. Maddison, Havertz, Mitoma, Buendia, Foden. Maddison, if you do not know, has had the transfer over to Spurs. And like I said, Spurs will be a lot more attacking this season. And he's going to be the creative spark. He was unbelievable at Leicester from an FPL standpoint, bearing in mind how bad Leicester were and got relegated last season. Kai Havertz in at number 12. You got to think Granit Xhaka was, I think, about 15th, 16th best midfielder last season. And Kai Havertz is taking over his spot. And he's, I think, which I don't think is a rash thing to say, a better player than Granit Xhaka, at least from an FPL standpoint when it comes to goals and assists. So I would expect Kai Havertz to get maybe, double figures goals, near about that for assists, and really, push himself into this level. And then see where he can go from there. Mitoma, I mean, we all love Mitoma. The man at Brighton. What a season they had last year. I think they can have a similar season this year. Maybe not as good from a league standpoint, but from a fantasy standpoint and an attacking standpoint, I think they can keep that level up there. Mitoma is the one you want. Buendia has been having a wonderful relationship with Emery and also Ollie Watkins in pre-season. And I think he's going to be an absolute star and a gem that you can probably pick up relatively late who will break into this top 15 because he's been fantastic for them in pre-season. Phil Foden, like I mentioned, Bernardo Silva may be out the door. Mahrez is already gone. Who's going to be playing on that right wing for Man City? I think you're looking at him, Phil Foden, what an absolute player he is. So I think Pep needs to he's trimming down the squad. He will probably make some signings, bring some players in. But you've got Phil Foden, who's played under you for years and everything. So this season, I really think can be the season that Foden nails down that right wing spot. I feel like I say this every year, but this could actually be the one. 16 to 20. Mbeumo, Morgan Gibbs-White, Bowen, Barnes, and Mudryk. Now, I mean, in here we've got some crazy people. We've got Mbeumo. Why? Well, Ivan Toney's out. So Mbeumo's on penalties. He's also been performing unbelievably well for Brentford for the years. He can play down the middle if they need. Wizard, has been playing there, but this guy can do it as well. And I think he's just nailed on to start every single week. He'll be chipping in with points left and right. Morgan Gibbs-White, exactly the same for Nottingham Forest. He is the man there. He was absolutely phenomenal for them end of last season. He obviously went away with England under-21s and won a trophy with them. Could only be good. Bowen, I think, can have a bit of a bounce-back season. West Ham had a weird time. I know they've got Declan Rice has now left and things, but I don't think that really affects Bowen. I feel like, if anything, he can stand up more as a leader in this team and really sort of carry it on his back. Obviously, 2 years ago, he had an unbelievable season. Dipped a bit last year, but I think he can really bounce back. Harvey Barnes, gone to Newcastle. Now, there's question about minutes for Harvey Barnes here, but I don't think there should be. Again, Mike Maddison performed unbelievably in a poor Leicester team. And he was injured last season. So you've got to think about that. So he's coming back, and I think he'll be unbelievable for this attacking Newcastle team. Mikhailo Mudryk, the man that came in for big money. I've had a lot of fun poking fun at my Chelsea mates that are on this podcast as well. But Mudryk, he has looked very sharp in pre-season. And I think next year, he's, had a bit of time now to see the league. He's got Pochim, who plays the attacking football. He's perfect player for Pochettino, I think, on that left wing. And, I think it's going to be a very, very good season. And we're going to see why Chelsea stumped up all that money in the first place for him. Now, the final batch of 5, we've got Anthony, Eze, Diaby, Gross, and Andreas. Anthony, Manchester United, obviously, we've already had Bruno. We've already had Rashford so high up. I think Anthony's going to be the one on the right wing, and he will chip in left and right with the goals just because he's up there. Realistically, Manchester United are probably going to score a shed load of goals, I think, next season. So, being up there, he's going to be creative and everything, and I think it'll be class for them. Eze, now Zaha has gone. We kind of saw it towards the end of last season, especially under Hodgson. He sort of stepped up at being the man at Crystal Palace, and I think he'll carry on that next season. Diaby has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal for Aston Villa in pre-season, and he was amazing last year as well. So I don't expect this to change. I think it may take him a little bit of time to adapt to the league, and maybe hits the ground running, then goes through a little quiet spell, but when you look across the whole season, he'll be up there. Pascal Gross. Now, I've probably been a bit harsh actually on Pascal Gross, or I don't know, but he ended as, I think he was in the top 10 midfielders last season. Had a phenomenal season, as we've already discussed, Brighton did. You can't say no. He's a creative player. He is on set pieces, got a wonderful delivery. So, he's one that I think you can take a punt on, and it very easily could slip into the top 10. And you're kind of like, how on earth has that happened like last year? But he's just always involved in the play, and you don't really realise it. Andreas Pereira at Fulham. Obviously I had to get a Fulham player in. Right at the very end there. He's probably the man to get. Harry Wilson, if I was going to pick someone else, has had a very, very good pre-season. But Andreas Pereira, he's had an injury, so he hasn't really trained in pre-season. But he takes the set pieces. I think he's the creative spark in the team, really. I think he'll have another very good season. And fingers crossed Fulham do as well. Anyway, thanks, guys. That's the top 25 midfielders. Episode 2 done. Give it a like. Comment down some of your opinions on some of the players. Maybe there's people that you think should be higher and in this list. Maybe there's people that are in this list and you don't agree with. Let me know in the comment section. Hit subscribe. This is obviously episode 2 out of the 4-part series. And tomorrow we'll have the next episode out. So I'll see you then, guys. Cheers.